Hi everybody, welcome back. I hope you got a chance to look at some of my videos where I talked about quantum healing hypnosis. Up till now, we've been talking about this session from a practitioner's technical view. I thought today it's going to be fun to see and understand what this session is like from the lens of a client. Please welcome Roma, who has graciously agreed to answer some of the most common questions I hear from people who call to inquire about this session. So Roma, today we're going to be talking about your session experience before, during, and after the session.
Thank you, Aarti, for having me. It's wonderful to share my experience with everyone because I think my experience has really had a tremendous impact in my life in general. So yeah, I am Roma Bajaj Kohli and I am a life coach and a certified yoga teacher. I am also the founder of the Awaken Mind Method, which is an 8-week transformational program. So thank you, Aarti.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So Roma, my first question to you is, you yourself are so accomplished, founder of the Awaken Mind Method, and I think you were recently also certified as Amazon's best-selling author. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm curious, I want to know what made you come for a QHHT session?
So honestly, I have not read or researched about QHHT. All I knew was you, and I have heard it from you multiple times about the experience that clients have had.
Right.
So, and I was just very curious, one, and second was that there was the point in my life when I was really feeling stuck. I feel like I had done it all. I have done all kind of healings on me. I have worked with all of my past traumas and issues, but still something from within felt not in alignment and felt like no matter how hard I pushed, things were just not moving forward. So that's why I was like, okay, this is something I haven't tried and I have heard so highly of. So let me just go ahead and experience it. And I think my biggest, up point was I didn't Google it. I just went in to get surprised, to experience. And I think that's what I do with mostly everything.
Right.
I don't go there with too much expectation. Neither do I go there thinking, oh, this is going to be another crappy experience. I'm not on either one of those spectrum. I just go there as in, let's see what this has for me.
Got it.
So I was really looking for something that would help this block that I was feeling internally.
So tell me this. I sent you emails, you read all the details about the session. Did you go through any kind of apprehensions or nervousness before your session?
No. I did read the questions you sent and I thought they were very helpful to help me form my own questions. I did watch the videos you sent, and because I think I do this work, like I help people get in touch with their intuition. So for me, this wasn't hard at all to understand what in the videos they were trying to tell us about QHHT. And honestly, I also had that trust in you, and I knew somewhere that I would be safe when I was with you.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you came in with a very sort of open mind, and you didn't go through any sort of nervousness in terms of what's going to happen, or sometimes people anticipate a lot about how the session is going to end up being, and they put in a lot of pressure on themselves, right? So you didn't personally go through any of that.
No, and I've heard stories of some, recently at a book club, I had heard one of my friends say they had a QHHT session and she saw something in her past life where her throat was cut out and stuff like that. So it did freak me out, and I for a few moments thought about it before our session, and I was like, what if I experience something like that? How would I react to that? But somewhere I was at that point in my life where I was like, if I have to experience it, I will. And probably that's going to help me process what is helping me stay. That was not helping me, but that was keeping me stuck where I was.
Right.
So I thought that even if I have to experience that, so be it.
Got it.
So I was very open in terms of what would unfold in front of me.
Got it. Which brings me to my next question. This is one of the most common questions I get from from the people who call to inquire is it safe to see a past life, right? And as you just recently mentioned that in your book club, this person mentioned that she saw her throat being cut. Can you share your experience when you were watching your past life? Did you feel safe? Did you go through, how was that experience for you?
So for me, the first thing was so surprising was that the moment you laid me on the bed, I had already started seeing visuals. I was actually waiting for you to finish the initiation, and I was like, when is it okay to say what I've already started seeing things. So that was one thing. I was like, oh my God, like it was like a movie screen just flipping in front of my eyes, and I could see it so clearly. I could also feel some of the things. So my experience was very vivid, right? From experiencing lots of laughter, joy, happiness, to experiencing some really intense moments of burning sensations, some kind of pain on the left side of my physical body, and also I also did see that someone cut my throat too, and I experienced a lot through that session. So I would honestly say it was a very intense feeling, but none of them were scary, or it didn't feel like, it was something like as if I was watching a movie. So I was
were an observer, like an audience.
Yeah, I think that's the right word. I think I didn't feel all of that was happening to me, my physical body in that moment, but I just felt like I was watching this movie, and just like we get attached into a movie, we cry when we watch a movie, or we laugh when we watch a movie. I was not even feeling nervousness, but I was just feeling all the experiences that character or parts of me was feeling in that time. So I wasn't feeling entangled or attached or worried or tensed about any of it.
So even though while you're watching all this, you still felt safe going through that experience?
Yes, and I think that safeness came from your voice. Every time I knew that you were present and you were talking to me. So, and the way you were guiding the whole thing made me feel like she's watching me, even though my eyes are closed. And even if something happens, God forbid, to my physical body, you're watching it. So you are there. So that voice assurance was big for me.
Okay.
And I knew I was safe because I knew you were right there, and I knew that place before I went to in that hypnosis state, that there was no one else around us, and it was a very safe space for me. So I didn't feel afraid, I would say, but I was actively feeling all those emotions that happened to me in that, especially the burning sensation, I think.
So can you tell me more about the burning sensation?
Yeah, I don't know, that experience is still very vivid and clear in my head, and every time I close my eyes for meditating from then onwards, I experience that, at least some percentage of it every time ever since then. I see complete darkness, and I see this ball of fire and other dots of, I don't know whether they are planets or what, stars, what are they, but it feels like in this black space, just this ball of fire, and I feel that hotness inside of me. Like I feel my ears are burning, my head is burning.
So it's the heat that you feel?
Yeah, I just feel the heat. And it's not something that I feel physically. I've gone and checked my ears in the mirror. My ears are not red. Every time I talk about that experience also to anyone, like my friends, when I share my experience with my friends to tell them how amazing this QHHT session was for me, I feel it. Like even now that I'm talking about it, I feel that burning sensation, but it's not something that rocks my life from the root.
From what you're saying, it feels like an energy takes over, and it becomes active in you. Is that
and I feel it in the pit of my stomach. Like I feel it in the center, the solar plexus.
Is it uncomfortable?
No, it's just a little bit like a burning sensation, but it doesn't hurt. It's not uncomfortable at all. It just feels like a part of me, in fact. Just that I'm speaking of it, so it's more prominent, but when I'm not thinking of it, it's probably there still.
Right.
But I don't feel it.
Would you like to share with our audience here, when your higher self came in and we talked about the burning sensation, what did they tell you that is? Do you have any clarity on that?
I remember, yeah, it said, I think my higher self said that that's who I was, and that was my origin, and I think that was the sun. And so I still hear my recording sometimes, and when I hear it, like, I'm shaken by it, because sun is the powerhouse of the universe, and it kind of bewilders me to even think about how could I be that. And I remember you asked that question to my higher self too, that if you are the sun, then what are you doing here in this human body? Do you realize that she's having a human body experience? And I remember what my higher self said even then, that yeah, she's here on a mission to awaken people. Yes. And that was like so profound. I didn't know, but I just named my course the Awaken Mind Method too. So is that a coincidence? No.
Can you also talk about this pain you felt on the, did you say left side of your body?
Yeah, again, that pain was more like a numbing sensation. Anyways, I honestly didn't feel the presence of my entire physical body throughout the QHHT. I just felt like a part of me was out and was watching all of this. So that pain was more like a numbing sensation on the left side of my body. And it wasn't something that was hurting, but lack of better words to describe it, I would call it pain. But I think it was more like non-existence of my physical body. Like, I didn't feel like my physical...
heavy.
Yeah, it was heavy, and it was not even heavy in a sense like I would feel the burden of it, but in a sense, heavy and lightness at the same time. Like, I didn't feel my physical body played any role in this whole experience, and I was
much bigger than...
Yeah, I just felt like I was in this whole other realm altogether.
Wonderful.
Even though, honestly, I could hear some noises of the traffic, and I was so aware, like I haven't been this awake and conscious, I would say. Because I could hear everything that was happening right outside the window. I could even hear the siren of the ambulance. And I could even hear your voice, and I could even hear my higher self talking to me. Plus, I was watching all these movies. So it was like multiple senses were like present in that moment at that time. It was like really, it felt like an out of body experience.
So when you talk about you were watching this, was there like a movie physically appearing in front of you? How were you seeing things?
Yeah, it kind of felt like my closed eyelids were my movie screen. And I could see everything in front of me. At times I could see it here above my head. Sometimes I could see it like all over my body. There were different experiences, but I don't really think my eyes saw anything. It was more like a imaginative visual aspect. Like, I really don't know where I was seeing it, but the word is seeing it, so I don't know.
It was almost like your imagination.
Yeah, it was definitely like in the comic books. The best way I can think of it is the bubble over their head. It was kind of like it was in that bubble somewhere.
Got it. Wonderful. So, having this amazing experience, tell me, after your session was over, what went on in your head? Did you have questions like, was that real? Was that, did I make this stuff up? Did you have these questions, or were you like, you knew that what is happening is so true? It was important for me to see that. Did you have that trust in it?
So honestly, when I woke up from the session, I was first very exhausted. I was extremely like drained. And by the time I reached home, I felt supremely grounded and in this moment, like I felt present. So I did not, my brain was so tired. I think my mind was so tired that it didn't really question anything that I saw. But after say 1 hour of, processing all of it and just coming back to normalcy, I did not doubt even for a second that any of this was not real. And I did not have, some of my friends have said to me after the session is that I felt like I was making that shit up. And my husband himself was, in there, and he was saying, I just wasn't into it. Like I wasn't feeling it. And so for me, when I went there and my husband was like, okay, tell me what was your experience like. When I was telling to him, I got my confidence because every time I would share that experience with anyone, I could feel those sensations in my body. So not for a second did I doubt what all that was.
Wonderful.
But did I trust everything? Maybe not in the beginning. But as I started integrating with everything, and you recommended to listen to the tapes for the next 2-3 days. So I was listening to it. It just became more and more affirmed within me that it was meant to be.
Right.
And somehow the level of stability and groundedness and confidence that I received from your session, I have not received it doing any past healings for that matter. So it was a very grounding experience. And I think most of my stuckness that I was feeling before was because I was trying to run in million directions.
Right.
And was constantly doubting and not trusting my own intuition, which after that session was so clear and so open that what was I trying to run away from? It's all here.
Right. And has that changed for you? Has that shifted?
Yes, definitely. I think just listening to my questions that I had a list of being answered by my higher self, I don't think I heard any new answer. I knew all of those answers, but just listening to that from that state of being, because my voice was different. When I heard those tapes, I can still feel it wasn't me who was answering it. My voice was different. My consciousness was different. Just listening to those answers from myself, even though they are the same, was so reassuring.
You're very serious. Your higher self, when it came in, it was very to the point and very sort of, unlike you're a very bubbly person. And when your higher self came in, you're like, yes, she needs to do this.
It was, I mean, and that voice and that manner, right, felt like someone else was saying it for me. And I never, in fact, if anything, I've only deepened my alignment with my intuition and my voice, inner voice.
And did all of your questions get answered?
Yeah, and in fact, they continue to get answered. It's funny. It's like I hear that strict voice every time. I'm like, okay, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And I hear that strict voice saying, come on, you know what you should, you should be doing this, and like making every decision for me. And that sometimes is so relaxing, because we get so entangled when we think that we have to make all those 20,000 decisions. So for me, that when I have my higher self kick in and answer those questions even today, feels so liberating, because it feels freeing, right? That I don't have to make all these decisions.
So did your family members notice any changes in you after your session?
Yeah, so obviously my husband felt that I was definitely so much more confident and so much more clear in terms of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to go about. And I think one of my very good friends, I talk to her over the phone all the time. She told me that, Roma, I think whenever I talk to you after that session, I told her about my session, she said that there's just a different level of calmness in you that we haven't felt before. So always like they feel that calmness in me, but they're like, she's like, this is something else. Like we feel that, I feel that groundedness in you. And I'm like, yeah, I also feel it. I think it was a huge integration piece for me.
It was, and most of the clients, I would say, they all go through that. I myself did the session on me, and something in you just shifts. It centers you and it grounds you, and you understand your true being.
Yeah, and I think it's a very fundamental and radical shift.
Yeah.
I have asked a lot of people who are into hypnosis and healing and stuff, and I've asked them, do you think QHHT is the answer? And they say yes and no, because when I asked them, when I hadn't done the session, so I asked them and they said yes and no, because in the end it matters what you do in the present moment. And I agree, but QHHT brought me to a point where I didn't have to worry much about my past or my future, which I was always tossing between before that. And that's the reason why we feel stuck, because either I'm too depressed about my past or I'm too anxious about my future. And QHHT helped me ground and integrate that. So then the worry of either left me, and I was more in alignment with my present.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes, like you said, it takes multiple sessions for multiple people to get at that point. But I think I was so ready.
How was your experience with me as your practitioner?
Oh my God. I think you were like that nurturer throughout it. I felt like a very motherly love and nurturing space that you held for me, which made it very comfortable for me to, let go of all my apprehensions. Not that I had many, but just to trust that, okay, she knows it. She's the one who's the, authority here. I don't have to worry about anything. So you made it very easy, especially the interview part. You made it very comfortable for me to just let go and release. And I think that, in the first 3 hours that we were talking, 2-3 hours was the time where you got to establish that confidence in me. And I found it very easy. By the time you were like, okay, let's get on the bed, I was like, okay, I'm ready. The minute I laid down, because I kind of trusted you and the way you so patiently went through my entire life story. So I don't know if I would do it with anyone else, honestly.
Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, this was great. Is there any sort of advice that you would like to give to anyone who's looking to get a session done?
Yeah, I mean, even if, there are some people who might have health issues and maybe or maybe not that you may want to bring to your QHHT session, I would say bring them all, because it's amazing how I used to suffer from lots of cramps during my periods. And I was just telling Aarti before we got on to recording this video that this month when I had my periods, I didn't even feel the cramps. Like I didn't even feel my periods were here, and now they are gone. Like it was so easy and quick. And I feel
that
like
was one of your questions.
And that was one of my questions, because I feel like as a human being, and I believe you said this to me, was that we are not supposed to experience any form of discomfort in our physical body. And I truly believe that, because I'm a yoga practitioner too. If we feel a discomfort, it's urgent that you bring it to notice if you are planning to come into a QHHT session. It's the smallest to the biggest of things. Try to find a way to heal it alternatively, other than just your regular medicinal approach as well. I think it just makes, I'm not for going against science, but I think that it makes a very profound healing process for an individual.
I feel like medicine is important.
Definitely.
And it takes care of the symptoms, but there is always an emotional issue that we that we're going through that causes a physical pain. And once you recognize where that is coming from, you're able to release it. And once you release it, then the pain just disappears.
And during the session, this was one of the things that I remembered, Aarti, was whenever you would ask my higher self, okay, are you going to heal her heart? I could feel the external force trying to work on my heart. Like I could feel me breathing deeply and fast in my heart area. Then when I think I had a question about my constipation and my cramps, I could feel when you were talking about, is that going to be healed? Are you going to heal it? I could feel the healing happening again the same way through breath. You know, I could feel it was happening there. And I wasn't surprised when I didn't have my periods. I was like, I was so grateful. Like I kept thanking my higher self and you, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Like
I'm
this
just
is
a
amazing.
facilitator, really. You're doing this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's the magic of quantum healing session, that as a practitioner, we are just facilitating this for you, but you are the one who's holding that real power to heal your own body. And you know, it's just such an amazing experience to go through.
And I felt that and that's why I think you as a practitioner did a great job, because it's also important to be a very safe vessel.
Yes.
So you did not let any of your issues ever come in between that, which as a coach myself, I know how can that be a trigger for us. So that was very amazing of you. So
thank you so much. I think this is it for us today. Thank you so much for answering the questions.
Thank you.
And I hope your questions got answered. Please contact me if you would like to get a session done for yourself. Thank you very much.